Persia, the country of Persia, by the name Persia. But the name Persia appeared at a relatively late date. It appeared in the time of the Assyrian Empire. In the later Assyrian Empire was part of the forces of the Medes. The Medes were a major power. The Medes and the Babylonians, together with the Scythians, eventually destroyed Assyria. And then they divided the Assyrian Empire between them. And at some stage, the Persians, being part of the Medes, took over the control of the Median Empire. And they became the senior partner. And henceforth, it all became known as Persians. But physically, the indications are that the majority of the Persian people were Elamites. In the Bible, in prophecy, both Elam and Persia are interchangeable. So that where it says Elam, we can read Persia. And very often we find Elam and Media, that is the Medes together, or Persia and the Medes together. In parallel to Persia and the Medes together in general history, was the majority of people in the Persian Empire at the beginning spoke an Elamite language, and Elamite was an official language of Persia. And eventually, for different reasons, it became replaced by the Persian language as we know it in history. And at all events, the Bible associates Elam with descendants of Shem. You had the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Sons of Shem were Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. Sons of Shem were Elam, that is Persia, Ashur, that is Assyria, Arphaxad, that is the ancestors of Abraham the Hebrew, and the Israelites, and the Ishmaelites and Edomites, all are descended from Arphaxad. Also, Lud was another descendant of Shem. Lud are to be identified with different peoples, including the Lydians in northwest Turkey, who moved to Europe, Italy, and other areas. Aram also moved to Europe, originally associated with Syria. So the sons of Shem were Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. So as we said, Abraham the Hebrew was descended from Arphaxad. Abraham lived in the north, in the region of Ur. He was told by God Almighty to get out of that place and move to the land that he would be shown. And he went to the area of Canaan, which was promised to him and his descendants. And Abraham, at the beginning, was accompanied by his nephew, Lot, the son of his brother, Lot. Lot travelled with him. At some stage after they'd come to Canaan, they decided that the entourage of both of them was too large, was too big for them to travel together. They were interfering with each other, so they separated. And Lot went to the east, went to the area by the Dead Sea, close to the city of Sodom. In that time the area was very fertile, verdant, and rich. And he settled there, whereas Abraham remained west of the Jordan. A confederation of 4 kings from the north attacked the area east of the Jordan where Lot was. And this confederation consisted of Amraphel, the king of Shinar. Shinar is Babylon. Arioch, king of Elasar, believed to be an area in northern Syria. Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, that is Persia. And Tidal, king of nations, or Goyim, which is believed to have been an area in what is now Turkey. Now these four kings, Amraphel, king of Shinar, that is Babylon, Arioch, king of Elasar, Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, that is Persia, and Tidal, king of nations of Goyim, attacked the area east of the Jordan, and took captives and loot and beauty with them, They also took away Lot, the nephew of Abraham, as a captive. And Abraham was told about this, and he got together 318 trained servants of his own, as well as 3 of his companions. They pursued after the 4 kings. They caught up with them north of Damascus, and they defeated them, and he freed Lot and brought him back to his area. Elamites saw this incident with the 4 kings as presaging, foreshadowing, as symbolizing something that actually happened, but also symbolizing, as is the way with the Bible, symbolizing a future confrontation that will take place in the end times before 4 great kingdoms, non-Israelite kingdoms, who will rule the world at the end time. And they will be in a confrontation with the Israelites, that is the peoples of Judah and of the lost 10 tribes. It was explained by Nachmanides, Ramban, 1194 to 1270, who explained the significance of this future confrontation and how the 4 kings versus Abraham were foretold, were foreshadowed in the incident that happened. And how Abraham and the 4 kings foreshadow this future confrontation that will take place in the end times. We come across Elam again in the Bible. In Isaiah 11, he mentions the future redemption of the Israelites from the lost 10 tribes and of Judah, who will have been scattered amongst the nations, whereas the lost 10 tribes will be together in certain specific regions. And he foretells the redemption of both the 10 tribes and of Judah being redeemed, and amongst the nations that he speaks of them being redeemed from, he mentions Elam. Isaiah 11 onwards says, and it shall come to pass in that day, that the Lord shall set his hand again at the second time, to recover the remnant of his people who are left from Assyria and Egypt, from Patros and Cush, from Elam and Shinar, from Hamath and the islands of the sea. He will set up a banner for the nations who will assemble outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the 4 corners of the earth. And the envy of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not harass Ephraim. These regions may be referring mainly to Judah, because Judah, prophesied that Judah will be scattered all over the earth, whereas the 10 tribes will be together in one area. And the 10 tribes are those associated with the islands of the sea, the coastlands and the isles of the sea. That is where we trace the lost 10 tribes to the coastlands of Western Europe, to the isles of the sea, the British Isles, to North America, to Australia and New Zealand, and to related areas. That is where the lost 10 tribes are, and they will be gathered from those regions, and they are the outcasts of Israel. The outcasts of Israel who were cast out, but more or less, relatively speaking, stayed together in concrete bodies, and the dispersed of Judah, those who are scattered all over the earth. Elam may also not only symbolically represent Persia, as in some cases it does, it all depends on the context, may also refer to the Slavonic peoples in general, of those of Russia and related areas, as we shall see, as we shall see. And it says that there will be a final confrontation in the end times between the Israelite nations and the non-Israelite nations. And at that time, Judah and the 10 tribes will reunite, will come together, whereas previously there had been some degree of friction, of differences between them. These differences will be resolved, they will reunite, and they will defeat their enemies. That will be the major nations of the world who will come against them. And even now we are seeing something of this. Even now we are seeing something of this We see just now, we're now speaking in February 2024, we're now speaking of February 2024, the 7th of October 2023, Nazi types from Gaza attacked Israelites, they attacked Jews in Israel, and they raped women, they burnt babies, they tortured women, they tortured men, they assaulted men, they did horrible things to captives, and they killed and hurt and took captives Israelites and oppressed them and tortured them and so on, as has been documented and even filmed. They themselves filmed portions of these evil actions. And now Israel is still together fighting against them. And even though we have proof that they did these things, and also we know from documentary evidence from their own constitution that they believe in the destruction of all the Jews in Israel, of the whole of the Jewish people in Israel and beyond it. And they are also in cahoots, working together with Elam, together with Persia, together with Iran, to destroy the Jewish people. And they are openly declared their Nazi-type intentations and prove their capability of carrying them out, even though a good portion of the world is still has got together against Israel, condemning Israel, attributing to Israel the genocidal intentions of their enemies. And we see this now. They just called Israel up to give an account, the state of Israel up to give an account before in the Hague, before an international judicial body in the Hague, Court of Justice in the Hague. Israel had to defend itself. And we see in many of the nations, especially the third world countries all over the world, including China, including most of the non-Israelite peoples, are all together condemning Israel. And this will get worse, according to prophecy. So we should be prepared for it. We should keep our eyes open. We see this happening in current affairs before our eyes day by day. And this is what was prophesied.